I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of country and pay my respect to their elders past and present. 3 weeks ago I had what I thought was going to be a pretty quick briefing from Mirvac, who asked to see us to talk about the hospital site and the library and what's happening there. We had a discussion about the hospital site and the library and the development that's occurring on the corner of Marrickville Road and Livingston Road. And then they said, because I didn't know they were even the proponents down at Carrington Road, they said, oh, we've got this other thing we should raise with you as well. And lo and behold, they had this nice glossy document. And it's a bit like the letter that I received yesterday. I haven't got the document, but I have got it because I've come straight from Canberra. But it speaks about how they're going to have affordable housing, public park, restoration of heritage, former GMH buildings, a community facility, a precinct stormwater infrastructure upgrades, new benchmark in sustainability, and the clincher, pedestrian and cycleways. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at, I'm pretty polite, as all of you know. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this, the vision that you saw before with those huge blocks, like Lego going up. I said to him, these buildings, these towers, they look pretty big to me. How big are they? And they said, oh, well, and they waffled around and I said, cut the bullshit. How big are they? And they said, oh, we're thinking at this stage of 28 stories. And we know that the development says 35, their application. The meeting then got very impolite. And I said to them, if you think that this community will cop this, you've never met anyone here. I then went down to Canberra the next week and spoke in the Parliament about this proposal, where I spoke about, as the Shadow Minister for Cities, with responsibility for developing our policy about sustainability, livability, productivity of our cities. And I said there that developments need to complement the suburban landscape, not dominate it. Now, I had another meeting with people from the sector the next day who said, oh, the CEO of Mirvac and others were a bit upset that what they thought was a private discussion had been spoken about in the Parliament. I said to them that in their briefing, and again in their letter that they sent to me yesterday, all the stuff about cycleways, there's everything in there except, you know, cute puppies and kittens in this letter. They not once did they put how many stories the buildings will be, how many units there will be, how many cars there will be, the devastating impact this will have on the nature of this community, where you have 1- and 2-storey houses in Marrickville, and I've lived in this community my whole life. 1- and 2-storey developments, and next to it, you're going to have 28 or 35 stories, 8 stories further across the road, and when you do it, it has a knock-on impact. If you don't believe me, have a look at what's happened around Canterbury, whereby the Canterbury Racecourse has been rezoned without a pool, playgrounds, schools, hospitals, social infrastructure. It is an absolute disastrous proposal, and we won't cop it. I came from the airport, I skipped out of Parliament a bit early, don't tell anyone, to make sure I made it here tonight. And again, it takes, 5 minutes. Sometimes, that's if it's good. Sometimes it can take 20 to get through the Unwins Bridge intersection and through the roundabout on the corner when you get across the Tempe Bridge. The idea that you can have this many people, this many cars in a road that is one way in and one way out, a two-lane road, is quite frankly preposterous. The other thing is about the nature of our community. Now, people in this community aren't opposed to all development. I was talking to a friend I ran into walking along Marrickville Golf Course over the weekend, and she's moved down to the site at the bottom of Illawarra Road, and for her, it's fantastic. She says there's a real sense of community. They have a Christmas function for her. Sold her place in Monkhurst Street and moved down there. We're not against sensible change, but this community has at its heart a multicultural heritage. It has at its heart a sense of people looking after each other. It has, down at Mackey Park, the home of Marrickville Red Devils, produced not a bad player called Timmy Cahill. Not a bad guy. They have something in the order of 1,400, 1,500 players now. The schools are full. Every one of them. A few years ago, Marrickville Public was struggling. Marrickville West was struggling. They're not now. This is a vibrant, dynamic community. And this vibrant, dynamic community is going to knock off this atrocious proposal.